This tutorial will demonstrate how to create hyperlinks within PowerPoint in order to create interactive games. So here you can see an example of a PowerPoint that has been designed. On the first slide we have what we would call a game board, and then we have a variety of other slides that go along with it. And with the linking feature within PowerPoint is you can create links to direct you to individual slides throughout a PowerPoint. So when I go to present this PowerPoint, you can see on my first slide here is the game board, and this happens to be a Jeopardy style interactive game, where I have my different categories and then the different point values. So I can select triangles for 2 points, and here you can see is the question. Then when I click, it provides the answer, or in Jeopardy that's really called the question. But then there's also a link to get back to that main board. So with an interactive PowerPoint game, we don't necessarily just want to be able to go from one slide to the next sequentially. We want to be able to move throughout all the slides, and the links provide us that opportunity. So with my mouse, when I go back over to the home image, it takes me back to the main board. So then I can go angles for 4 points. Once again, there's the question, click for the answer, and then hover over the mouse and it takes me back to that main board. So in order to do this, I'm going to start with a blank PowerPoint, and I just have a first slide with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are going to be the links that I create. Then I've created slides 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order to identify those. So this tutorial is really going to show you kind of the nuts and bolts on how we work with links or actions within PowerPoint, which then will allow you to apply that to a variety of other games or designs that you want to use. So to create these links, we first highlight what we want to create as a link, and now within PowerPoint you can create a link for almost anything. So whether you're using a shape, whether you're using an image, you're using text, you can create a link for that. You simply select it or highlight it. I should note here I'm demonstrating with PowerPoint for Mac. This might look a little bit different on the Windows side, but really the options are very, very similar. So I've highlighted my text, and now I'm going to go to Insert, and you'll see an option for links. So here I select on the links, and you can see here that I have an option for a hyperlink and an action. These two are very similar. The action has some more features that you can have, and I'll show that here in a second. But I'm going to start with just a basic hyperlink. So when I select this, you can see that a dialog box comes forward. And here the first option is a web page or file. So here I could select a URL. Let's say if I wanted this to go to the FHSU homepage, I could put that in, select, and hit OK. And then when my user opened up this PowerPoint game and was in presentation mode and they clicked on the link, they would be able to, their browser would open up using their default browser and take them directly to that web page. But in this case, what I want to do is to be able to create a link to another page or another slide in my PowerPoint. So I'm going to go back to Insert and Links and Hyperlink. And so here you can see I'm going to choose, instead of web page or file, I can choose this document. And here there's some options for first or last or next slide. Or more specifically, if I click on this arrow, this drop down for slide titles, this will show the list of individual slides in my PowerPoint. So in this case I have the number 1 highlighted, so I want that to go to slide 2, or my slide that is labeled number 1. I hit OK, and now you can see that my 1 has an underline underneath it and is turned blue, indicating that's a hyperlink. So if I go to presentation mode, you can see that it has that option. Here's my mouse, and as I hover over it, you can see that it changes to a finger indicating this is a link, and now I can click on that and it'll take me to the next slide. I'm going to hit escape and go back and do this again. So here I'm going to go to number 2, and I'm going to go to links, hyperlink, and I'm going to choose the option for slide number 2 now and hit OK, and now you can see that it is highlighted as well. But something else that we need to do as part of this is to create a way to get back to that main page. So here I can click and go directly to slide number 2, but the problem is I have no direct way back to that main board. So in this case I'm going to use an option to have an image as a link. So I'm going to go to my first slide and go into here, and I'm going to go Insert and I'm going to insert a picture. Again, you could use shapes or another feature to do this. I'm going to use a picture. If you're using Windows, you probably will have an option here to use clip art type graphics as well, which is a nice option. On the Mac side, it doesn't give a direct link to the Microsoft clip art files, but you can go about getting those indirectly. In this case here, you could photo browse, or in this case I'm going to choose picture from file. So here I have a folder on my computer with a little home icon or graphic, so I'm going to select that, and there it is. So now what I'm going to do, I don't need it that big. I'm going to kind of, as the example I showed earlier, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to put this in the bottom right corner of my slide. Now that I have it selected, I can go back to Insert and Links, and once again I can choose the hyperlink option. And in this case I could either choose first slide, because that's where I want it to go to, or I want it to go to this slide number 1. Hit OK. So now when I go into presentation mode, and again, in order to click on these links to see how they work, you have to go into presentation mode to actually see that. So here I'm on the first slide, so I click on my link to go to page 1. Now I have the option for the home button to take me back to the main page. So when I click here, it should take me back to that main board. Now you can either recreate that each time, or better yet, you can, once you have that link created on the first one, you can simply copy that, Control or Command C, and then paste that onto the remaining slides. The link will carry with it as it goes along to each one of those slides. Now for the third slide, I want to show that action option. So in this case I'm going to highlight this, then I'm going to go to Links, and now I'm choosing the action. Now with the actions we have two options. We could choose either the mouse click or the mouse over. And the difference between those, most links are created using the mouse click option, meaning you have to go on top of the text and you actually have to click in order for that link to go there. But in web design we also have the option to do a mouse over. In this case, as soon as the mouse goes over the link, it'll automatically go there. Now this can sometimes be problematic because all of a sudden your interface is jumping all over the place because the mouse is going over different things. So a mouse click tends to be a better option, but in your design, if you wanted to use a mouse over, that is certainly an option that you can choose. In this case I'm going to choose the mouse click, and you can see they're basically the same features in both. I'm going to do mouse click, so the action on the click. Again, I'm going to click hyperlink to, and here I have options. Once again, kind of like on the other side, I could choose an URL. So if I wanted the user to be taken to a website, I could choose that. You know, this is similar to also if you have a movie that you want to begin playing. You can choose that the user can click on that movie and it can begin to play. Or even if you have a movie file saved within a folder and you want that file to actually open up, maybe you have a PDF file that you want the user to be able to open up, you can choose those options here, whether it be URL or the file option that you see here. In this case, what I want to choose is the slide option, because I want to go to slide number 3, and here it gives me the dialog to choose number 3, and I hit OK. You can also choose to play a sound so that when the user clicks on this, there's some kind of sound that goes along with it. So here I'm going to hit OK, and let's view this to see how it works. So here you can see now after the user has selected an option, the hyperlink turns to kind of a pink color here, showing that you've already clicked on that. It still works, but in this case I'm going to go to 3, and you could kind of hear there, it was a little quiet. You can kind of hear that when you click on that the sound comes forward. I'm going to hit escape. So you can see how you can use both the links or the actions to create different types of interaction throughout a PowerPoint slide. The important thing to remember is that you have to highlight and select, and you can choose whether you want it to link to a web page, link to a file on your computer, link to a program that you want to open, or more specifically for this example, that you can link to different places within your document. Now, one of the great things about the usefulness on the web and the educational community is there are all kinds of educational games that are out there and available. So you don't necessarily have to create this from scratch. Just like I showed in my first example, there are a lot of templates out there that are available for you to be able to use that template and customize it to your content area and put your information in. But at the same time, some of those templates may not work just right, but with the basic knowledge of the links and the action options, you can go in and fix it, you can customize it, and you can make any one of those templates that are offered out there on the web even better.